quickly. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Gaze.
And I'm Katia Uriarte. It is a tragic scene that played out all too often here in Corpus Christi, a case of domestic violence that turned deadly.
Yeah, just this past week, 33-year-old Heather Colati was fatally shot by her ex-boyfriend. He then turned the gun on himself.
And a similar scenario took place this past September. 42-year-old Patricia Askew shot and killed by her husband, 51-year-old David Askew, and he too took his own life.
Tonight, we want to introduce you to a local group that's trying to prevent those kinds of violent encounters. They're called Her Story Foundation. Brianna Whitney, first at 10, with more on what they do and how they do it.
Right. Her Story Foundation was started just a couple months ago by Gary Green, who was good friends with Patricia Askew before she was killed. It's out of her memory that Green wants to bring change to how domestic violence is handled, and it starts with spreading awareness. Take a look at his story.
I started the foundation because of a friend that got murdered in a murder-suicide.
September 2014 feels like yesterday for Gary Green, and ever since his friend Patricia Askew was killed in a murder-suicide by her husband David Askew, he wanted to make a change.
The purpose for Her Story Foundation is really focusing on Mary's Law, House Bill 1506, to get it implemented.
Mary's Law says if there is a high enough threat ruled by a judge, the accuser gets an ankle GPS tracking device, and the victim gets a pager that will let them know when the accuser is in the area. This is a law that's been in existence in other parts of Texas since 2009, but funding has been an issue bringing it to Corpus Christi.
Ultimately, we're trying to get awareness so that our politicians and our judges and our county commissioners and our mayor can make a change.
Christopher Monroe is the founder of James 217 Ministries, the nonprofit that the Her Story Foundation functions under. And Monroe says it's something they wanted to be a part of to make a difference in the community.
Domestic violence isn't going away, but what we can do is we can spread awareness, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to spread awareness. We're trying to raise funds so that the city can implement this program.
Her Story Foundation has 5 volunteers on board so far and works with the women's shelter regularly. He says from here, it's about finding a way to get Mary's Law in effect as soon as possible to stop domestic violence before it becomes too late.
In my heart, I know if that law was in effect, that Patricia Askew and David Askew, I believe both would still be alive to this day.
And when I asked them why the name Her Story, Green and Monroe said they didn't just want it to be named after Patricia, but want everybody's voices to be heard in ending domestic violence. Joe, Katia.
All right, Brianna, thank you so much for that.